Hello friends, how are you? Welcome to the Japan Study Center. Today we are going to see the chapter of history. And what is our topic today? Today we discuss on most important chapter here, the three order. The three orders. There's an important chapter here, class 11, history. Today we discussions a most important questions here. The question arrive here. Why do we think there are people new towns were considered of fourth order? Explain. You know that that's an important question. Why do you think the people of new town were considered of fourth order? Explain. The people of new towns were considered of fourth order because of the following here. First of all here, this newly flourished town were developed with the fair and small market of centers as a result of expansion of trade. That's important. The newly flourished town were developed with the fair and small market centers here. The social and the political condition of the people were totally different from the people who belonged to the farmer three orders. Belong to the farmer three orders here. There is a bank and lawyers in this town. There were banks and lawyers in this town, and there was a distinct economical organization in the form of guild, and each trade and craft industry was organized into a guild. That's important, and craftsmen found it easier to be settled in their town as a good could be produced and traded for a food. The rich traders and merchants developed it better than to the nobility here. And they were generous to be people and engaged in a trade relative activities here. And later on the cathedrals towns belong to the developed which belong to the monasteries and rich of merchants here. The next question arrive as the middle important here. Which cases were responsible for the rise of middle class? You know that is an important question here. Which cases were responsible for the rising of middle class here? That's an important question. The causes are responsible for the rise of middle class here important. In the crusade of lot of feudals, lord has been to the killed. That's the first important point here. The rising of middle class here. The growth of commerce and trade made to the trading class quite and rich and the previous here. And they in the turn south there is a favor of the king and the help him to be whenever needed. The wealthy merchant and rich traders got a many towns and cities freed from to the clutches of the federal control here. Thus new city is a soon grow into the center of trade, commerce and education and consequently give rise to be new classes here. A new classes of the rich of merchant patronize art, science, literatures and education. Next question arrive here is important. How did the technological change affect the agriculture during the 11th century? You know that's an important question here. The technology changed the effect the agriculture during the 11th centuries. Technology is the most important for the growth for the agricultures here. You know that the new use here pesticide, hybrid seeds this is important for effect into agriculture. But 11th century is not provide there is a hybrid seeds and other. So how did the technology change the effect to the agriculture during the 11th century? That's an important question here. You know that technology change is affect agriculture for the many way here. The wooden plugs were replaced with a heavy iron trapped plug. That's important. There's a replacing here iron trapped plug because it's a very heavy. It's not a plug easily here. It's a very heavy. But wooden plank is very lightweight and they use very easy. So they replace with the heavy iron trips plugs. The first of all here changes in the 11th century here. The matter of the harnessing is animal to be plugged improve which they enable animal to exert greater power. The horses were now to better shod with the iron horseshoes. It is prevented to food. Food is a decline. Note that the iron horseshoes that's important. Is a prevented to food decays. That's important. And then increasing use to the wind and water energy for the agriculture enhance the agriculture production. The increasing use to the winds and water energy for agriculture enhanced agriculture production here. That's important. The most is an inverted change was the switch from the 2-field to a 3-field system. Now peasant could be used to the field 2 years out of 3 if they are planted it with the one crop in the autumn and the different crop in the spring as a year and a half or later. This is the most important technology take here. Now the farmer could be plant one with the beets or while there is a second spring to rise the peas, beans and the lentils and the other. That's important for intelligent farming here. There is a wheat and there is a farmer has a growing, but second time here a growing of peas and beans and lentil line. That's important. There is a maintenance of fertilizing here. That's important and intelligent farming in this time. This is a part was a left of follow. That's important. The part was left is follow here. As a result, there was a immediately increase the amount of food produced from each unit of land. That's important point here because there is a best technology used in this time. Food production almost doubled. The food production almost doubled on this period of time and there was a better opportunity for a cultivator. They could now produce a more food for the less land. More food for a less land. The average size of peasant shrunk from about there 100 acres to be 20 to 30 acres. As a result of holding a small land could be more efficiently and cultivated here. It's also reduced amount of labor. The new technology changed the cost of lot of money. That's important. The new technology changed the cost a lot of money here. But next question arrive here. This is important. Discuss the achievement of the nation states. That discuss the achievement of the nation states here. That's important. The nation states are known as the achievement. The nation states are known as the achievements. Some of them were here. The rises of the nation states cruised the power of the Lord and this made people free from their excess. They paved way to the sitting of paces. And they taught the people to give a support their kings. The unfused the spirit of nationalism among the people of different classes here. They took a remarkable step for the consolidations of economics of state and they contribute a lot in the development of language, literatures and architecture. That is important here. The next question arrive here. What were the causes that lead to be a decline of the feudalism in Europe? That is an important question. What were the cases that lead to be decline of the feudalism in Europe? From the 8th to 12th century CE, feudalism is proposed in Europe. And there was a step decline of feudalism in Europe. The following cases lead of the downfall. First of all here, rise of the power of monarchies. That's important. The rise of powerful of monarchy here. Powerful monarchies is a pivot. There is way for the decline of feudalism. It is a rose in a France, Spain, and England. That's important causes here. The decline of the feudalism here. There are powerful monarchies. There is a way to the decline of feudalism here. And the next year, rise of nationalism. You know that is important. Rise of nationalism here. Education spirit in the nation. The spirit of education are used. The spirit of nationalism among the educated middle class. This is important cases here. To decline of here. The education spirit in the nations. Education spirit in the nation. The spirit of education aroused. There is spirit of nationalism among the educated middle class. The education is the most important. Open the many way here. But the federals, Lord, were quite opposed to their nationalism. That was why the educated people turned against the feudalism. Educated people turned against the feudalism here because it's open the many way here. They could not be tolerated. It's exciting. There were to be side of their rules and not with the lords. The result was rulers become more and more powerful. That is important reason the causing here a decline of here the rises of nationalism. The next year, the rise of middle classes here. The rise of middle class, a new invention encouraged trade and industry. You know that is important. Your declines here. New invention encouraged trade and industry. The result was the emergence of the middle class in the town and cities. The result was emergence of the middle class in the town and cities. The middle class desire pays for the promotions of commerce. The middle class here desire pays for the promotion of commerce and industries and craft. They want to be get rid of the nobles who were always engaged in the constant. And their next question arrive here. Discuss the detail about the emergence of cathedral. That's important. There is a emergence of cathedrals here. You know that from 12th century, a large churches were built in France. 12th century is the most important time period here. The build of large amount of churches in this time. And they were not the cathedral, is they belong to the monasteries. The cathedrals is belong to be monasteries. And the various group of people contribute a lot to their construction in from the labor to the materials and money. Know that is important. The various group of people contribute a lot to there is here labor, materials and money here because construction of there. And along with it is rich of merchants also spend money by the making donation to the churches. And cathedrals took many years in their completions here. You know that's important. The cathedrals here. And after their completions, there is a become the center of pilgrim image is a small town also grew a lot. The specialty of the design of cathedrals was their voice of priest and could be clearly heard within the hall where a number of people gathered. And their voice could be heard even from a far off distance. Their voice could be heard even for a far off distance here. For the window stained glass was used. That's important. For the window stained glass was used on this time. During the day, the sunlight would make them to the radiant from people inside the cathedrals, and after sunset, the light candles would make them to the visible to the people outside. Know that during the day, the sunlight will make them to radiant from people inside the cathedral. And after the sunset, the light candles would we make them to the visible to people to the outside. That's an important point here. The stained glass windows narrated their story in the Bibles through their picture, and which even the literate people could be read. The next questions arrive here discuss the political changes which occurred during to the 5th and 6th century in Europe. You know that is an important question here. Discuss the political changes which occurred during to the 5th and 6th century in Europe. The political changes that occurred during to 5th and 6th century were flowing way here. First of all here, European king strengthened there is a militaries as well as a finance power during to the 5th and 6th centuries. They create a powerful new state. They create a powerful new states, and this were much significant for Europe. They create powerful new states, and this were much significant for the Europe. Economical changes were also occurring. Historians has therefore is called this king the new monarch. This is important. The new monarch here. That's important. And second point here, Louis XI is a France, Maximilian is Austria. You know that here Louis XI is a France, Maximilian is Austria, and Henry built the seven in England, and the Isabel they are president, and Spain were absolutist a ruler. Then stated there is a process of organizing standings, armies, and permanent bureaucracy, and the national taxation here. In Spain and Portugal, there is a began to be play a role in the European expansion overseas here. Portugal is important. You know that in Spain and Portugal there is began to play a role in the European expansion overseas here. And the ruler disbanded with their system of federal levers for there is armies and introduced professionally is a trained infantry is equipping with the guns and sieges. Alatrace is directly under their control. That's important here. The next year, the social change start to take place in the 12th and 13th century after the term of the monarchies. That's important. The 12th and 13th century after term of the monarchies, there are dissolution of the feudal system and lordship, and was gas and the slow rate of economics growth had given to the first opportunity to kings to increase their control over their powerful and not so powerful subject here. And with increasing in the taxes, that treasure of monarchies filled here, and they had enough revenues to be support larger armies. They also defended and expanded their fortresses as the ruthless is destroyed their internal back wings without assistance from the autocracy. Centralization could not be done. In England, the rebellions occurred in 1497, 1536, and 1547, and 1549, and 1553. Estimates, that's important here. In France, Louis XI is a 1461 to 83, a very long struggle against the duchess and their princes. In the 16th century, the religious war in France were a contrast between the royal preeminence and regional liberties here. The king was now to be center of liberate quarters, a society, and the network of patrons, land, and relationship here. All the monarchies is whether big and powerful, needed to the cooperations of those who could be command authority. It did not be matter whether they were big and strong, but Protangel is become the means of ensuring cooperation, and it could also be obtained by the means of money. All monarchies, whether big and powerful, needed to the cooperation, but for the ensuring survival, the nobility managed to drastical shift here. They quickly transformed himself into the locality, and the lower absolutism has been to the call modified from the feudalism. The lords were given to the permanent position in the administrative service here, and now they started to dominating the political scenes. You know that's important. All monarchy whether big and powerful, that's important. but ensuring survive the mobility and manage trust shift here. The next question arrive is important here. Why did the Europe's economical progress slow down by the early 14th century? Give a reason. You know that is an important question. Why did the Europe's economics progress slow down by the early 14th century? Give the reason. The Europe's economical progress slowed down due to the following reason. First of all, reason here, the warm summers of the last 3 years had given way to the batteries called summer in the northern Europe. By the end of 30th century, it's become quite difficult to grow crops on higher ground. And storm and flood destroyed their entire crops here, and which resulted into the less income in a taxes for government. You know that is important. 14th and 30th century, there are 3 years has been given to the battle cold summer for the northern Europe. And the reasons here, difficult to the grow up crop and higher ground. And the most important reason here, a storm and flood destroyed their entire crops. That's important, and less income to taxes for the government. That's an important economical progress slowly down over the 14th century here. The next year, before the 13th century, the climatical condition had led to be a large-scale reclamations of land of forest and pasture for the agriculture. An intensive plugging had executed the fertility of soil. The storage of pasture reduced the number of cattle, and European was hit by the severe famine between to the 1315 and 1317. By the 1320 as there is occurred a massive cattle deaths here. That's important point here. There is the occurred to massive cattle death here, and trade was hit by the severe shortage of metal money because of a shortfall in a silver mine in Austria and Siberia. It forced the government to reduce the silver content of currency and to be mix it with the cheaper metals here. With the expansion of trade in the 13th and 14th century, ships carrying goods from the distant countries had started to the arriving in the European ports here. Along with the ships come rats with the deadly bubonics and plague infections. The Black Death. You know that plague infections has the most important for this time, and there is called Black Death. Western European was isolated in the earlier century, but was hit by the epidemic between the 1347 and 1350 here. That's an important point here. There is a Black Death on this time. There are ships come the rat with a deadly bubonics plague infection spread in the Western Europe here. As a result, the trade center and cities were hit. In an enclosed communities like monasteries and convent, when the individual is contracted the plague, a lot of people got affected to it. The plague took its world toll among their infant, their young and elders. But next question arrive here. Discuss the major drawback of feudalism which is prevalent in the Middle Europe here. That's an important question here. Discuss the major drawback here of feudalism. You know that the major drawbacks of feudalism which is prevalent in the medieval Europe were following here. That's important. The major drawback here. It has divided the country into the small fiefs held by there is a federal lords here, and there are selfish and they are carried more for themselves and ignore there is interests of their country as a whole. Hence, the feudalism give a blow to the national unity here. The central government become very big. You know that central government here very big here. The federal lord become more powerful and supreme. The vassals ignored to the order of the king. The king was entirely dependent on the federal lord and both for military and money. Sometimes they asserted there is independence and king could not be control them. Feudalism is encouraged rebellions and war. The power of the lord was increasing day by day and the king were become more and more weak. That's an important point here. The feudalism encouraged the rebellions and war. The war and rebellions, there is a very bad situation on this time. The power and the lord was increasing day by day and the king were become more and more weak. This encouraged a rebellious tendency among the nobles. The nobles were also eager to get a new lands, so there was a constant is a welfare among them. It restored the peace and security and created chaos and confusion in their society. The feudalism was responsible for the defective military organization. Every lord organized his army in his own way, and their weapon and the method of lighting also differed as a result of national crises. And feudalism lead to be a maladministration of justice. Every lord had his own court and laws. He decided the case and punished their people for the some crime that varied from the state to state. The next question arrives here. How did the changing nature of population affect the economic and society in the Europe? You know that is an important question. How did the changing nature of population affect the economic and societies in the Europe? That's an important question here. A long-term change in the population level affecting their economy and societies in their following way. You know that's important. Long-term change in the populations is effect here. There is a many way here. First of all here, a number of towns come into begin. There is a number of towns come begin here and they also become the center of trade and commerce. Society become more advanced and civilized here. That's important. Society become more advanced and civilized here. This change brought about the new changes in agricultural production and production reached its peak. Good quality, good were produced, which increasing the life expectancy rate here. There is a good quality, good were produced, which increasing the life expectancy rate here. The next year, depopulation resulting in a major shortage of labor. You know that is a mistake word here. There is a major shortage of labor here. And serious imbalance were created between to agriculture and manufacture because there were not enough people to engage in both equal prices of the agriculture goods and drop it as there were here people to buy. That's important here. Depopulation resulting in a major shortage of labor. And wage rate are increasing because the demand of labor, a particular agriculture labor rose in England by much as a 20-50% in aftermath of a Black Death. Aftermath of there's a aftermath of the Black Death. You know that there is a mistake here. There is a month, not a math. After the month of the Black Death here, the woman spun. There is a verb, is fabric, and children work in the Lord as a wine presses here. And the manor could not be completely self-sufficient because salt, millstone, and metal were had to be obtained from outside. That's important here. The manor could not be a completely self-sufficient because salt, a milestone, and the metal were had to be obtained from outside. And the next question arrive here is important. How will the trade and city affected by the plugs? You know that in this time the plug is very dangerous for human beings. And how will trade and city affected by the plug disease? That's an important question here. Plug affected the trade and cities the following manner here. With the expansion of trade in the 3rd and 4th centuries, ships carrying a good from the distant country had started to arriving in the European port. Rats come along with the ship and carrying away the infection of the bubonic plague. That is not here. The rat is travel there is other country and there European port and the spread of disease of infection of plague here. As a trade center, cities were hardest hit. In close communities like monasteries and convent, when individual to contract the plague. Know that the community, monasteries and convent, there is a contact with the plague. It was not long before everyone did. The plague took it is a worst toll among the infant, young and the elder. You know that plague is spread here to the infant, young and elder. And plague also lead to the depopulation which is resulting in a major shortage of labor. There is a major problem here, economical crisis, because the major shortage of labor on this time. That's important here. The next question arrive here. Describe the merit and demerit of federal system. You know that's an important question here. Describe the merit and demerit of the federal system. First of all, see here the merit of the federal system here. That's an important point. The merit of the federal system here. Federal provide to the security of life and poverty to be a common people. You know that's an important point here. The federalism provided to the security of life and property to be a common people. The federal law established order during the period of disorder and confusion this time here. The federal law established order to during to the period of disorder and confusions here, and federalism exercise on effective check upon to the autocratic rules of kings. That's important. Feudalism exercises on the effective check upon to the autocratic rules of the kings here. The next year, the demerit of federal system. You know that the demerit of the federal system here, that's an important question. The federal lord were to away quarrelings with one another to expand their own state. You know that the own states here. As a result of it, the peace and order in the society were often disturbed here. The federal lord were allows is quarrelings with one another to expand their own state. State as a result of it, the peace and order in the society were often disturbed here. That's an important point. The federal system provides as obstruction to be growth of political unity. The federal system provides obstruction to be growth of political unity here. And feudalism was based on the exploitations of common man. The federal lord used to live the luxury life while the peasant and other common man live in the miserable condition. Not that is important. The federal lord used to live a luxury life while the peasant and other common man live in the miserable condition. This topic was till this. We will be do their next topic in the next part. If you like it, then please like, share, subscribe and share the video as much as possible. Do not think, subscribe and save in your mobile.